Welcome back to the shed. Keith and Matt from Workshop Banter podcast have issued a challenge. I'm sure there'll be a massive prize, so let's have a go at that, shall we? This is my palette of choice. I prefer to cut pallets so I don't have to pull out the nails, but having said that, the planer thicknesser gets the boards flat, the table saw squares up the edges, and the bandsaw cuts them into squares. These squares get glued together in groups of 5. We're going to be cutting these using a circle cutting jig on a bandsaw. That jig has a locating pin and that'll fit in this hole. Flower pots are tapered and we can copy the angle with a bevel gauge and then use it to set the angle on a bandsaw bed. As I said earlier, this circle cutting jig has a locating pin that these blocks sit on. Making deep bevel cuts on the bandsaw can be tricky. My advice to you is apply downwards pressure and cut slowly. Really slowly. Like this slowly. When it comes to the top of the pot, they cut much quicker. Look at that, we made some plant pots. I thought about making some seeds to plant in these pots, but this challenge ends in July, so let's skip germination and move straight on to bloom. Back to the bandsaw. Let's cut a bit of palette and draw a flower on 2 sides of it. Regular viewers will notice that this isn't the first time I've used this technique, and in all fairness, some of them might be bored of watching me doing it now. I've made birds, chairs, lamps, river tables, all using this technique. Ta-da! There you go, I made a flower. Bandsaw cuts always need sanding, but I'm okay with that. This hole will be the new home for the stem. This flower is really easy to put together. I didn't even use glue. That was fun. Let's make another one. I've drawn out a petal shape onto this block, which is cut on the bandsaw. To make the next step safer, let's leave the petal attached to the wood. It's much safer cutting flat material, and if we tried cutting the petal shape like this, it wouldn't be fun. This way we can cut the petals free with no drama. I'm using some masking tape to help keep these petals in place while I glue them together. This flower needs a middle bit. There's one, let's use that. The hole in this middle bit can be filled with a pointy bit of palette and then sanded flush. The stem is glued to the flower and poked into the pot. That was fun. Let's make another one. We're going to need a full bead for this one, so drill both sides this time. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but this bead has a screw in it, and that screw is in the drill chuck. I'm thinking we can cut a slot in this bead with a handsaw, if we're careful. The next set of petals are shaped using a hand plane, and then cut on the bandsaw. Surprise, surprise. The petals are glued into the slot in the bead that we cut earlier. The slot was cut to perfection and this was a total success of a glue up. This flower needs a stem, so this square needs to be round. We're getting close. Let's move on to sanding. That was a lot of sanding. Look at that. We've made a dowel. This flower is held in place with a small nail. That means we can do this. That was fun. Let's make another one. Oh, let's make a tree. I've drawn some tree shapes onto this palette and then they get cut out on the bandsaw. After a bit of shaping, these branches can be glued to the trunk. That was fun. Let's make some chicken nuggets. The best chicken nuggets are made from reformed pallets. I'm using the bandsaw. Glaze the nuggets and add breadcrumbs. Look at that. We've made some chicken nuggets. Now let's add some pesto. Look at that, we've made a tree. Not just any tree, it's a pallet wood tree. Fingers crossed these will be ready to harvest in time for the next pallet wood challenge.